Hello, YouTubers. Joe Cruiser here. May 11th, 2014. Just about 12:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time. Now, I'm going to pan over here to the road here slowly. About an hour ago, about 11:30. The traffic was going almost bumper to bumper at around 40 miles an hour up and down this road, except for when the stoplight actuated down at the corner. And of course, it occurred to me that it's Mother's Day. It was almost deafening. Now, I understand that's either the busiest or the second busiest day for restaurants here in the United States. I mean, it was almost worse than when the traffic's going up and forth, back and forth, or going up and down to and from an Ohio State University football game. I guess a lot more people like their mothers than the Bucks. Well, I imagine there are a lot more mothers out there that are more likable than the Bucks. So for all of you guys who have had a mother that was good to you and actually liked you for who you were, took care of you, and didn't screw you over in the end, good for you. So happy Mother's Day out there to all you mothers. And you all know who you are. Seeing as how my mother disinherited me, I have a bit of a problem with Mother's Day. Plus, I have a bit of a problem with Mother's Day just because of the commercialized greeting card aspect of it, the sugary Ideals magazine. Let's talk about happy things type stuff. Yeah, I have a bit of a problem with this stuff. I will say what didn't happen this year is generally, Mother's Day coincides with the peak of my lilac bushes, being in bloom. Well, up at the corner house. Now this year they didn't seem to come into bloom. Now I think that may have been because of what's been happening over the last few years, but what's been happening over the last few years is that you'd get these people coming in here and thinking that the place was, I guess, common property. They just come in and start chopping away on these lilac bushes and take the blooms. And my understanding from a couple of skilled horticulturalists that I've talked with, is that if you don't cut these things a certain way, that pretty much trashes the bush. Last year, 2 years ago now, no, it was 2 years ago. I caught three people, and they had boxes of the stuff stuffed in the back of their little station wagon-y type vehicle, and I got their license plate number, and I didn't rush down and try to track them down or follow them, and I didn't call them into the cops because there's no point, or the sheriff, there's no point. But I later found out that the person who did this was a florist down here in Westerville, Ohio. And she'd chop these lilacs off and sell them in her store. Lowlifes abound. But it didn't seem to happen this year. Well, because there wasn't anything much to chop off. Such are the mixed fruits of crime. Okay, so I went to 8 o'clock church, and indeed we got the requisite mention of Mother's Day during the sermon, although not as badly as it could have been. And our previous permanent rector, he always made a huge deal about, he gave this extended Mother's Day, and he went out of his way to call Jesus our mother, and God our mother. Well, we only got one Jesus' mother reference today. Well, actually two. One in the sermon and one in this liturgy. Also, once again, from the book called Enriching Our Worship, which wasn't a bad, overall liturgy for the Eucharistic service, the communion service. And Charles did a very nice workmanlike sermon. He actually quoted scripture such as it was, as much as you can quote using the NRSV. So reasonable service, and you're there, you're worshiping God. That's what you're supposed to do. So good. I guess enough said about that. I got home and I wanted to watch this players golf thing on the internet, and I guess the bulk of it starts here in another hour or two. Actually, I'd watched a couple hours of it and it started pixelating out on me, so I don't know whether it's maybe the internet's also overwhelmed by people emailing their mothers or something today. Actually, my understanding is, and if any of the people over in the United Kingdom who watch me, can correct me on this. My understanding is that about this time of the year, or time in May, there's a Mother's. It's not called Mother's Day over there, but it's called something about honoring mothers or remembering mothers, and it has to do with the women who have been widowed or who have lost, sons in combat. And this started after the First World War, apparently. Get especially honored in the sense of the war mothers. That would be similar to our Gold Star Mother's Day at the end of September. But they have a thing, and it has to do with also current mothers, but also particularly widows who have no one left to actively care for them. I thought that was interesting. I obviously don't know all the details, but I've read a couple of things about it. Actually, one of our the seminary student who spent a year with us, he talked about that. Well, actually, he brought back a service bulletin from one of these services, and in one of the 3 or 4 sermons he preached the year he was with us, he talked about the experience of people really going out of their way, certainly on that day, to take care of unwanted folks in church, uh, in their congregation. So that's pretty much it. I've got a few things I could talk about, but are probably best left unsaid over the internet. Although there's nothing illegal and nothing shocking or tragic or just things that somewhat involve other people, and I don't need to really be talking about them. No, they'd make good stories though. Well, on that note, I'm going to go away now. Well, hopefully not go away. Alrighty, bye-bye, YouTubers. Here you can look over at my stove and kitchen here.